Hello students, I'm Aanchal Sharma, your educator for paper 1. So we have been discussing questions related to environment and the explanations given by me related to that topics. Today also we have some questions related to pollution, water pollution, noise pollution, right? So we'll be discussing them and then we'll discuss the explanations also. So exposure to noise pollution can cause what? When you are exposed to noise pollution, what can be the causes and effects of that? So it is a weakening of immune system, sleeplessness, or it can be speech inference, or it can be your increase in blood pressure, or it can be shift in the threshold of hearing and respiratory problems. So which of all of these things can be the effect when you are exposed to noise pollution? So what is the right answer? B becomes the right answer. That is B, C, D and E. Now let us see. B, C, D and E. So increase, or you can say sleeplessness, is the first thing that is definitely you're going to be affected if there is lot of noise. But do you feel that weakening of the immune system is caused by if you are hearing a lot of voice, so your immune system would be weakened? So no. So then definitely A won't be the correct answer. So wherever you find A, you can strike it out and you know that B is correct. So wherever you have B, you know you can keep that option. Then we have speech inference. So of course your speech can be affected if you know that you are hearing the voices at a very loud voice or very loud pitch or a very loud rate, right? So we know that this C would be included. Right, so we again have two options. That increase in blood pressure is another cause of too much noise, right? You become anxious, you think you at a greater speed when there is a lot of voice coming. It becomes very difficult to concentrate as well. So all of these problems are what related to excess of noise exposure. So increase in blood pressure, which is especially seen in your parents, or you can say in the adults, is caused by the lot of noise pollution. So at your homes also, when you and your siblings are fighting a lot, you know that it is always the older people who are affected the most by it. Why? Because they become more and more anxious and their blood pressure can increase. Then shift in the threshold of hearing can also be a major cause. So your eardrums can be affected if you are fully exposed to the noise pollution again and again. This means that B would be the right answer. So let us read the explanation. So the presence of excess or unwanted sounds in the atmosphere or in the environment can be called as the noise pollution. So in an environment, if there is a lot of pollutants in the air, so we'll see in the previous video we saw, air quality index will say that yes, the air is unfit for us to breathe. Right? And what is happening here? If there is unwanted noise or uncalled noise or excessive presence of noise, then what will happen? Then also we'll have trouble in concentrating, listening to things, and we'll term it as what? As noise pollution. So the major causes of noise pollution are the sounds from the vehicles, explosions, or you can say the bursting of the crackers, machinery, loudspeakers, etc. In fact, the television and the transistor radio in the high volumes, when you turn on the volumes too high, and the kitchen appliances, your coolers and your air conditioners can also create a lot of trouble to your hearing, to your eardrums. So if you exceed the noise, then if you exceed the noise that your eardrum can take, you term it as noise pollution, right? And it can be from multiple reasons. So that is why it is advisable that the schools are always built in a silent zone, right? So you cannot build a school or you cannot study at a place where you have a lot of noise. If you have a lot of traffic noise, it would be very difficult for the students to understand things, also to concentrate. Also residential areas, you will never find some factories there. Why? Because definitely air pollution and noise pollution will be extreme if there is some presence of machinery or factories. So hence you term all of these unwanted noise as what? You call it as noise pollution. So it is defined as an unwanted or an offensive sound that is unreasonably interfering with your daily activities. So all of these noise you will see are interfering, and they're coming in between your daily activities. So a person who is exposed to loud noise continuously may temporarily or even permanently become impaired to their hearing. So what can happen? They can extremely, being exposed to a lot of noise can sometimes create a effect in your mind. You can become more anxious, or it can also cause hearing impairment problems. Why? Because too much exposure can create a lot of problem in your eardrums, right? So all of these activities and all of these long lasting problems can cause your impairment of hearing, and you can become deaf and dumb, right? So all of these things can happen. There can be kitchen appliances, I would repeat, there can be air conditioners, there can be coolers, there can be televisions, translators, or it can be other vehicles. Minimum sounds are okay, you can still do your work in those sounds, but if the limit of the sound increase, then there will be problems like we have already discussed. Then you face problems like your sleeplessness, speech inference, blood pressure increase, you become more and more anxious, and also the shifting of the hearing problems or the shift of the threshold of hearing can be seen, right? So unlike others, the sound is not a chemical, but it is simply a wave motion. So we know the sound is in wave motion that is present in the air. So the noise pollution is a form of energy pollution. So this energy is in the form of waves. So the pollution, it's affects mostly the physical system of the body. So physically and psychologically you will be affected more rather than physiologically. So unlike the noise pollution, which affects the physical as well as the mental system. So the other pollution can cause problems that are internal, while the noise pollution is something that can cause problem to the internal body. Sometimes your psychological problems would start. There would be psychological barriers. So you can call it as mental systems that would be disrupted the most, and the physical systems. So apart from the hearing loss that can happen, or the impairment that I told you can be physical, or it can be temporary or permanent, the noise can also cause a lot of annoyance, a sleep disturbance problem. It can also interfere with the communication that is happening. Heartburn can also be a reason. Then indigestion, ulcers, high blood pressure, and heart diseases can be occur, and also it can affect the social behavior of a person. So it can also create a lot of mood swings. It can create a high blood pressure in your body, and this can affect the communication and the social behavior of a person. So noise induced stress creates severe tension in the day-to-day life and can also contribute to the mental illness. So people experiencing these high noise levels, especially around the airports or alongside the railroads, are suffering from a lot of problems, and they differ from those who are exposed to the less amount of noise. And because they are exposed to so much noise, there is frequent headaches, there is greater susceptibility of minor accidents there is increased reliance, they are also very much dependent on sleeping pills, and this creates a larger amount of people to go towards the hospital, that is the mental hospitals, right? So we all see all of these kinds of problems. Maybe they are not directly seen, but somewhere down the line you will observe these kinds of problems. Hence, it is advisable that the noise should be in control. And also we have different zones. So we have silent zone, we have industrial zone, and the proper temperatures should be maintained. Now one question that I have for you, you have to write it in the comment section that what all are the noise that are decided for the given zone. So what is the noise that is, what is the parameter of the noise that is decided for a silent zone. Hence there are other zones also, and this is a PYQ. So I want you to write it in the comment section what is the categories of this noise, and also write the amount of noise that is advisable to have there, and it is given in the instructions also, right? So you have to write it in the comment section. Then we have another question related to water pollution now. So the point source of water pollution are what? So what is point source of water pollution should be clear to you. So underground coal mines, runoff from the farm fields, sewage treatment plants, runoff from roads and construction sites, and the power plants. So these are some of the options, and you have to tell that what is the point source of water pollution. So let me tell you the answer. The answer is B, that is 1, 3 and 5. 1, 3 and 5. First let us see 1, then we have 3, and then we have 5. So what is point source? First of all, you should know that, and then we'll come towards the answer. So water pollution occurs when now you have some chemical contamination that is affecting your water. First of all, we saw air, then we saw the noise level also, and now water. So contamination of the water will make it what? That is rendering it unfit to be drunk, right? You cannot drink it directly, then you call it as your water pollution. So water pollution occurs when chemicals contaminate water sources, rendering the water unfit to drinking and for cooking, for cleaning, for swimming, and for other activities also. Some examples of water pollutants are like waste, bacteria or parasites that can be added to the water. It can also be some chemicals, or it can be some hazardous chemicals like lead or other chemicals that are runoffing, that actually are added by the factories in the water. So all of these things will create the water pollution. So the point source pollutants in surface water and groundwater are typically found in the plume with the highest pollutant concentrates closest to the source and diminishing the concentrates further away. So the point source is that kind of pollution where you know from where the pollution is being started. So point source will be that I know that this kind of chemicals that are added, I know that these are being added by the factory that is right next to the river, right? So this is a point source. I know from where this type of pollution is being added. There can be the non-point source also, where I don't know from where this type of pollution is being added. So from a longer period of time, this kind of pollution is being added and it is flowing in the rivers, then in estuaries, and then so on and so forth, and I don't know what is basically the point from where this type of pollution started. So the different forms of the point source contaminations or the contaminates present the water are as diverse as the businesses that can be there. It can be from the industries, from the agriculture, from the urban sources that are produced there. So if you see anyone washing clothes near the river, so you know that this is what that detergent that is being used is polluting the water. So this is your point source. You directly know that because of urbanization, because of the problems, because of the people living there, this is the reason why the clothes are being washed in the water, and this is a point source. You know, you can locate from where the pollution is being added. The examples of the point source are the sewage treatment plants, the oil refineries, paper, the plum mills, or there can be chemicals, there can be vehicles, there can be electronic manufacturers, power plants, underground coal mines and factories. The point source such as the waste, the soils, the rocks, the chemicals, the microorganisms, suspended solids that are there, and heavy metals and pesticides all mixed up with the water. Thus the point source are the underground coal mines, the sewage treatment plants and the power plants. This is why we had the answer as B. So we have the underground coal mines, because we know that because of this coal mine, then you can locate it, that because of this coal mine the water is being polluted. While when we talk about the runoff runoff from the farm fields, I know that I cannot locate from where the water is getting polluted. Sewage treatment plants is also one source where I can locate the pollution, but runoff from the roads and the construction sites, it can be added from the multiple sources, hence it is the non-point source. And also the power plants, I can also locate that yes, from here the pollution is being made. So we have 1, 3 and 5 as the correct option. Right, so this is a picture for you, and here we are looking at the non-point sources and the point sources. So the point sources can be, we know that this factory, this water sewage treatment plant is directly putting the waste inside the river, right, and this factory as well. So this is the point source. But if this water is coming up, or this pollution is coming from the crop land that I have, it becomes a non-point source, or from the city life, I don't know from where it started. So this becomes the non-point sources. Then we have another question. Which one of the following waterborne diseases does not require direct contact with water but a host to spread it? So which is this disease which does not require direct contact with water, but it is a host and that can carry forward the pollution, but a host is needed to spread it? Cholera, malaria, trachoma, and there is the schistosomiasis. So which is the correct answer? The correct answer is malaria, that is B. Now let us read. So the waterborne diseases is one topic that is also very important. You should know which is the disease that is caused by taking which or intaking of which chemical or which substance, which hazardous substance. Like in the previous video we discussed that consuming a lot of lead can cause a lot of problems in your nervous system. Taking a lot of mercury will cause what? Will cause you diseases like the Minamata disease. So you should know all of these diseases, and you should know the sources of all these diseases. So the waterborne diseases are many illnesses that are caused by drinking water that is contaminated by the humans, or it can be contaminated, and this can be taken by the humans or by the animals also. It can contain a lot of microorganisms or the pathogens as well. So there can be other pathogens, there can be microorganisms, there can be other viruses that are present. So all of these organisms that are present there can make the water unfit to be taken or consumed directly. So hence you call it as the diseases that are caused by unfit water, right? So they are waterborne diseases. So the waterborne diseases are the ones caused by the pathogenic microbes spreading via the contaminated water. So it is basically caused by the microbes or the pathogenic microbes that are present in water. Malaria is a waterborne disease that does not require direct contact with water, but as a host it spreads. So malaria is caused by parasite, and a virus causes what? It causes dengue fever. So you don't directly need contact with the water, but it can be with the source, and because of that source it can cause you different problems. So I would read again. Malaria is caused by a parasite. You should also know it. Malaria is caused by parasite, while virus is the cause for your dengue fever. Right? Both malaria and dengue fever are carried by mosquitoes, which is the source about which we are talking, which lay their larvas or their eggs in the still water, which means that you do not directly need the direct contact with the water, but they will breed in water. So this is what they are trying to say, which means they does not require direct contact with water, but they are the host that is spreading the diseases. Waterborne diseases is caused by or it can be because you are drinking contaminated water. So recreational activities that you are doing near water, or drinking contaminated water by diseases that are there, by microbes or pathogens that are there, can cause what? It can cause waterborne diseases. For note, you can say that many waterborne pathogens can also be acquired by consuming contaminated food, beverages, and coming into contact with the animals that are also suffering from these diseases. So it can spread from person to person because that person was affected by it, or it can be coming in contact with the animals. So this is also a major problem. Majority of waterborne diseases worldwide mainly affect the children because their immunity system is not that adapted. So the children are affected because of poor hygiene and weak immunity. Because of these things, they are the most vulnerable to the water diseases. Hence, it is advisable not to drink water outside but at your homes. Use those water that are clean, we know that grey water is something that we can use again, but not for drinking. It would be used for maybe watering the plants. So you should know that when to use and which water is clean and which is not. So drinking contaminated water, which is affected by pathogens, virus, parasites, can cause waterborne diseases. Then we have the blue baby syndrome, a very important disease. You should know that the blue baby syndromes in infants is mainly caused by the presence of what, right? So as I told you, Minamata disease is caused by consuming mercury. So here the question is asking you, blue baby syndrome, which is a disease, is caused by the intake of what? By sulfate in water, nitrate in water, fluoride in water, or arsenic in water. So what is the cause? What all is it? Sulfate, nitrate, fluoride, or is it arsenic in water? And all of these things are in water, if you can see. So hence they are waterborne diseases also. This will convert into diseases that are caused by water, right? So the right answer is nitrate in water. So the blue baby syndrome, basically the infant mythoglobin that we have in our body is called as, when it is your hemoglobin comes into direct contact with the nitrate in the water, we call this problem as a blue baby syndrome. It is a condition where the baby's skin turns blue in color, right? So we all have blood, and when this blood comes in direct contact with, and especially in babies, direct contact with nitrates, you see that the compounds that are formed would turn your body into blue in color, and you call this disease as the blue baby syndrome. This happens when there is not enough oxygen in the blood, because that oxygen is taking place, that oxygen is replaced by the nitrates in water that we are consuming, right? So methoglobin is basically, or methoglobinia is a condition that some babies would suffer when they are born, and this can be seen in the early part of their life also. Infants under 12 months of age that eat foods high in nitrate or drink water with nitrate content are likely to be affected by these kinds of problems, right? So this is how you can say that the blue baby syndrome is seen in children below the age of 12, and this is seen because of the direct exposure taking from in the form of food or in the form of water the nitrate compounds. Some health conditions such as anemia or milk protein imbalance, severe metabolic acidosis, or the urinary tract is also affected. It can cause infections in the bladder. This can increase all these problems in the infants, and this can risk them with the methoglobinemia, right? So these are the problems. These are very common, and these are in the congenital form that can be, if they are directly exposed to nitrates, this can cause serious health problems. So hence, what is blue baby syndrome? Blue baby syndrome is a disease that is caused when there is the nitrate in water, which is affecting the baby. Words also says it is affecting the children the most. Then the water waste component of waste categorized as trash consists of what? So if we are talking about the waste component of waste categorized as trash is what? So which waste would you call as a trash? So will you call paper and your cardboard cartons as trash, or animal waste, or industrial process waste, or vegetable waste, or wood? Which all of these things would be termed as trash? An important question, also PYQ. So 1 and 5 are the things that are included. So paper and the cardboard cartons, and 5, that is wood, are included in your, this A becomes the right answer in the category of trash, right? Now let us read it. So the municipal solid waste, which stands for MSW, or trash, is what? So the MSW term is generally used to describe most of the non-hazardous substances or the non-hazardous solids waste from the cities, from the towns, and from the villages that are reunited and they are collected, right? So they are routinely collected and they are transported for the processing and for the disposing sites. So this is a trash that is not hazardous in nature. You will collect it and then you can dispose it off. So there are different ways of disposing it, but it is non-toxic in nature. It is not hazardous. So we can also call it as a garbage, or we can call it as trash. So the MSW is called as trash or garbage. In general, the domestic waste or the MSW is used as synonym, right? So we can use both of these words for that. The sources of MSW include, these are the waste that come from the private homes, from commercial establishments and institutions, as well as some of the industrial waste that are not hazardous can be termed as trash, right? So all the papers that you cut, all the cardboards that you cut, or maybe you're playing with it or making something out of it and you throw it, you term it as trash, right? Moreover, the MSW does not include waste from the industrial processes, from the construction, from the demolition debris, or the debris, or the sewage sludge. All of these things are hazardous in nature. Mining waste or the agriculture waste. So all the debris that we have, or all the sludge that we have from the sewage, these are certain things that are wet in nature. Also, they are not that hazardous, but they are not fit to be recycled, right? So hence you are not terming them as your trash. So MSW, or the municipal solid waste under trash, collects what? It can collect wet garbage or wet waste like food. So only food can be termed here, like vegetables, eggshells, leftover food. These are the foods that are not hazardous. But the sludge, these are the remaining processes, or these are basically the contaminated sludge that is left, and you have to find a good way to dispose these sludge away, right? So hence they cannot be categorized in the column of trash. Then we have some dry garbage also. You can call it as dry waste. These are like plastic, papers, Tetra packs that you use, plastic cans, newspapers, glass bottles, or the cardboard boxes, or the aluminium foils that you use, and other items, or you can also throw the wood pieces. These are not hazardous in nature. Hence we know that 1 and 5 are the right answer. Let us see as well. So animal waste, they are not the waste that you call as trash. Of course, we read industrial waste are not called as trash because they can be toxic, and these vegetable waste or these woods can be included. So even I feel that 3 should be the right answer. 3 should also be included rather than 2, because animal waste, the vegetable waste should be included, right? Okay, so I think this is wrong. Let us put B as the right answer. 1, 3 and 5. I misunderstood it. Okay, so paper, carbon or the cardboard cartons that we have, that would be included, and then the vegetable waste would be included. These are the vegetable waste that we read right now. These are the vegetable waste. These can be meat materials, leftover waste, eggshells, right? So let us change the answer to not A but C, and 1, 3 and 5. Both of these three things are the what? These can be termed as your trash, right? So we know that vegetable waste is also a trash. I want you to change the answer. So I would repeat again. With this, these are the waste that can be termed as trash. So these are the paper, the cardboard cartons, animal waste won't be included. Then we have the industrial waste that won't be included. The vegetable waste would be included, and the woods are also included. That means 1, 3 and 5 are the correct answers. Sorry for the mistake. Okay. Let us move further. I believe this is the last question for today's class, and this is very important. Now they are also asking questions related to the sewage treatment plants. So you should know what is STP, and we have done this in the class also. We did the whole structure, how the water passes and how it is cleaned, and how the sludge that is left at the end will be used for the different things, right? So I hope you are all revising it. So which of the following is the component that we see in the sewage treatment plants, that is STP. We have the UV source, we have ion exchanger, we have a GERD chamber, and we have the cyclone. So what would be the correct answer? It would be C, that is the GERD chamber. This is mostly the third chamber that we have, and here air is passed so that we know that all the solid waste that we have or all the other contamination waste that we have in the water would be passed away or would be diluted because of the excess presence of air, right? So this is the GERD chamber. The water wastage or the wastewater treatment is the removal of all the contaminants that we see in the water that we have, or the wastewater or the sewage, before it reaches the aquifers or the water or the natural water bodies of water such as rivers, lakes, estuaries and seas. So the components of the sewage treatment plant vary depending on the kind of sewage. So the sewage treatment plant components eliminate all the hazardous elements from the wastewater and the household sewage before they are released into the environment. So you always have this water that is contaminated that you use at different places. It can be used in factories, at homes, at schools, etc. So there are other chemical substances that are added in the water. So these chemical substances first have to be treated so that you can pass this water again or add this water again to the natural sources. So these are the components of the sewage water plant vary, and these components which will be used to clean the water vary according to the kind of sewage that we are collected, and all these hazardous substances are eliminated, and then the sewage water, the household water that we have, are ultimately released in the environment, which are not that hazardous in nature. So the STP or the sewage treatment plant components are perfect for removing all the toxins from the wastewater that are generated. It can be from the commercial purpose or from the industrial purpose. The major components of the sewage treatment plants are the bar screeners. We have the bar screeners, we have the GERD chambers, we have the comminators, we have the pre-aeration tanks, then we have the main setting tanks, we have aeration tanks, we have the secondary setting tanks, then we have the biological fillers, then we have the sludge handlers. So this was how the water was treated. So we also studied other chambers also in the class. We, with the help of diagram, did this thing, and I am pretty sure that you remember that GERD chamber being the second or the third chamber, I think second. After screening of the water, we added to the GERD chamber, and then of course sedimentation and all of this process goes on, and how the water that is contaminated coming from either from the factories or from the commercial purposes are cleaned, so that you remove the sludge or the excess materials, compounds from it, and then you have the water that is not so toxic. You can again reuse that water, you can make it fit for drinking, or if you want to dispose it, it is not that hazardous in nature, right? So I hope you understood what we discussed today. Let us quickly revise what all are the basic things that we did in today's class. So in the first question, we discussed how exposing yourself to the noise pollution can cause a lot of problems, like the sleeplessness or the speech inference can become a problem, blood pressure, anxiety, or the shift in the threshold of hearing can be caused. There can be other problems like temporary or permanent impairment of hearing. You can become, you become too much anxious when exposed to a lot of noise. Then the noise pollution can come from vehicles, can come from crackers, machineries, from kitchen appliances also. And I also gave you the homework to write what is basically the categories that are decided for the noise pollution. It can also cause severe damage to your hearing aid or the mental systems, and mental illness can be a major problem. Then we discuss what are the point sources of pollution in the water and what all are the non-point sources, right? Then we discuss what all are the different waterborne diseases and how these waterborne diseases can be directly spread by water or it can be a source that is used here. So we discuss how the host is used here, that is the mosquito, and malaria is the one disease that is caused because of the host, not direct coming into contact with water. Right? We also discuss that malaria is caused by parasite while virus is the one that causes dengue fever. There are other pathogenic microbes that are present in the water and it makes the water unfit, right? Then we discussed about it and how the poor children are the first that are affected. Then we discussed what is blue baby syndrome and how the blood that lacks oxygen can directly mix with nitrate, and because of that, because of nitrate in water, you can suffer from the disease called as the blue baby syndrome. You can, if you are containing a lot of, if you are drinking water or having food which contains a lot of mercury, then you will suffer from Minamata diseases. There are other diseases also that are caused. There are other problems like if there is a lot of fluoride in your water, it can cause your teeth to become pale, or it can be it can cause problem in your bones as well. So these are a few diseases that you should know, and how containing or taking these kinds of metals or chemicals can cause problems. So you should know all these illness, right? Then we discussed about it. Then we discussed what is waste, and we also said that this answer number A that I wrote first was wrong because we missed vegetable waste here. So we should know that paper, cardboard, cartons and your vegetable waste or your eggshells or your wood are all included in the term trash that we see in the waste components, right? We also discussed what all are the other things that are there that are included. Yeah, so we saw that there can be the wet garbage or the wet waste, like the food waste, like the vegetables or the meat or the materials that are present in the food, or the leftover food or the eggshells can be included. There can be dry garbage or there can be dry waste like paper, plastic, Tetra packs, other plastic cans. There can be glass bottles, and there can be aluminium foils, and there can be wood pieces, right? So this is the wrong answer. 1, 3 and 5 should be the right answer. Then we discussed about the GERD chamber and how we actually process the water that is again delivered to the household, or it can be thrown away in the natural surroundings, right? So I hope you liked today's class and you are studying, and I'm sure that you are revising the classes as well. So if you have any doubts, you can write it in the comment section. What I gave you as homework is one question that you should write in the comment section as well. I'll surely reply to you. Thank you so much for attending the classes. Keep smiling and keep studying. Thank you.